But there's one small negative. He makes music. He excitedly connected his phone to the Bluetooth to play me his latest demo. But the second he started singing, I had to force my face to stay completely neutral. He started asking which of his tracks I vibe with the most. I don't want to crush his spirit by saying his songwriting makes me cringe. How do you deal with that? Are you the yes man that fakes it? Are you the brutally honest partner?
I don't want to condone lying, but there are certain things that you could just take to the grave because it doesn't hurt anyone.
Yeah.
But also you have to help them get better. You can't just be like, great job, babe. This song was so top tier. I love it. And then just leave it at that and then allow him to continue to produce bad music.
Yeah, because now he's representing you and you're the girl who dates the guy with bad music. What if you tell him, I do not like this music. It's not that good. And then what if they blow up?
That would be wild.
Now you're the one they're singing about, like, yeah,
so crazy.
My girl used to tell me I wasn't going to make it.
You already know that would be in an interview.
Yeah, my ex, she didn't like none of my music.
That's
she told me I wasn't going to
crazy.
amount to nothing. And look where I am, Stacy. Hello, welcome to another episode of Love Up for Debate. I ask you real quick before I get into the story to smash that like and subscribe button. We really, really appreciate it. We appreciate all the love, all the feedback, and everybody that's just joined us on this journey. But if you could like and subscribe and even share it if you got some time to. I got a good story, I think, today that a lot of people can relate to. No one really talks about quite a bit, but I think, especially women, I think a lot of women can relate to this. So stay tuned because it's really good, and I think we might have some good insight, hopefully, because it could hit home with us and some other people. But in the meantime, hit that like and subscribe button, and then I'm going to get into the story. Without further ado, here we go. I'm a little confused on how to handle this because I really enjoyed our first few dates. He seems like such a sweet, genuine person. He does all the little things you should do when you start dating someone, and we honestly have amazing chemistry. But there's one small negative. He makes music. The other night, we were driving back from dinner, and he excitedly connected his phone to the Bluetooth to play me his latest demo. I was totally ready to be his biggest fan. He actually has a genuinely great soulful voice, but the second he started singing, I had to force my face to stay completely neutral. I don't want to be me, but the music and the lyrics were just incredibly juvenile. Very forced, overly dramatic rhymes that sounded like like a high school diary. I just sat in the passenger seat doing that awkward, supportive head bob, desperately hoping he wouldn't ask for a deep analysis of the chorus. Now I'm in a total bind. He keeps hinting at me coming to an upcoming show he has next weekend, and he started asking which of his tracks I vibe with the most. I don't want to lie and build up this fake reality where I'm his number one groupie, but I also really don't want to crush his spirit by being bluntly honest and saying his songwriting makes me cringe. Everything else about him is so great, and I don't want to lose what we have. What's a good way of putting it gently without ruining the whole relationship?
Wow, this is a really good one.
Yeah, I think it is. I think a lot of people can relate to this. I think there's probably a lot of women who may have a partner who does something creative. It doesn't have to just be music.
That's very true.
But
yes.
They do music, and you might not be their biggest fan.
Yeah.
And the question is, how do you deal with that? Are you the yes man that fakes it? Do you fake the funk? Are you the brutally honest, partner that says, I'm going to give you honest feedback and maybe it helps you grow? Or are you just kind of like the play it safe? What do we do here? I guess is the question. But, what's your first reactions on this?
Oh, my goodness. It's so funny because, I feel like we've all definitely have been there. In every hometown, there's somebody who's who's into music, and they just all think that they are so great. And look, I support the music artists, okay? Even those who are not so great, because I know, people create music because it makes them feel good. You know what I mean? So, I don't like to knock people who aren't, as talented. Yeah. But I bet it's really difficult to date somebody who, isn't the best at his craft, right?
Yeah.
With that, I can't relate. You actually do music, and I am, let me just say I'm one of your biggest fans.
Sure,
I would like to believe I am your biggest fan, but I'm also, in competition with our 6-year-old daughter as well, and your mom. So, so I'll share the number one spot. But I do think it depends on a couple of different things here.
Okay.
Okay. Does he have the high hopes of becoming
I'm going to assume, let's just assume he does, because most people that are doing shows and come and
Okay.
spending time and money in the studio, they're not doing it for fun.
They want it to be a career, a
Yeah,
long-term
because if
career.
if
Okay.
he's in a local club or show performing, then that means, yeah, he's absolutely pursuing the career, but it means he's not like signed or big yet. So
Okay.
this is the
Okay, yes.
pursuance of a music career for sure.
Okay, that makes sense. And that also gives me a clear idea of like how I truly feel about this,
Mm-hmm.
because if someone's just doing it for fun and because they love it, I think that it would be okay to just be like,
Nah, this ain't for me.
just like let it go. Like, however, of course, you want to see your partner thriving and doing really well in whatever career that they choose.
Mm-hmm.
It depending on how he would react to it, though, I think that it's safe to say. I mean, clearly she loves his voice.
Yeah,
She
but
mentioned she loves his voice,
you
but
got
it's a songwriting.
but you got to go based on the story. And the story is they're fairly new with each other. So this isn't like she knows how he's going to take it. She
Okay,
doesn't know.
that's a good
And
point.
she's gotten a
That's a
hint of
good
his
point.
music early. It's not like they fell in love and then he started doing music and it's not that good, and she knows his personality, so she knows how he'll take any
Yeah,
news that he gives her, and their communication is there. This is early on.
that changes things.
She says it's a little cringe too, so this could be like, could it turn into an
Ooh.
ick? Could it turn into something like, there's a lot of different angles here, because again, as a creative, most creatives are very sensitive about their work, right? If you're an artist, you're
Yes.
very sensitive about whatever you paint or whatever you create. If you're I can't imagine, like I always feel bad, and I always feel bad because if you're an artist, or if you're in any sort of creative field and you make creative works of art and you put it out, a lot of people don't know what goes into that, right? And so I always feel bad when there's like you put something out and it gets a ton of negative feedback, because sometimes it can be devastating. It really
Yeah.
can, because the amount of work that goes into, I mean, I can tell you music and I can tell you like videos, like, the amount of work that goes into the editing, to the writing, to the finding the music, to going into the studio and recording, to spending money on mixing and mastering and then putting it out and getting it on, your streaming platforms. Like, this is a long, hard, gruesome process, and your music is usually an expression of self. So most people put a lot into, what they write. And I can tell you, every single artist thinks their music is the greatest work of art ever. And should we be brutally honest with people? Absolutely. Like, it's just unfortunate, right? But I say that to say, sometimes I feel bad when somebody, like, a movie comes out or somebody puts an album out and like the feedback on it is like, oh, this is trash, because it's
Yeah,
like,
so negative.
damn, I just spent like 2.5 years making this album.
Yeah, and when they put it out, they're so proud of it. Like
Yeah,
they feel
yeah.
like, okay, like now it's like it's final. Like
Yeah.
this is,
Yeah, it's just part, and it's unfortunate because it comes with the territory, and you got to know that, like, artists are super sensitive, again, because it is it's an expression of self and it's part of us.
Yeah, I can see that.
So it definitely can feel, you can feel a way when somebody says, yeah, this is probably like my greatest work of art, even if it's not like a super teardown of your work. Even just a slight disappointment will make you feel a certain type of way.
Yeah.
Now, it's one thing if you get that from the hater on YouTube who's leaving comments. It's another thing if it comes from somebody you're dating. So that's the real
Yeah.
question, right? The real question here is, is it more important to play along, and even though it might be a little deceiving, but to be like their biggest fan, and maybe you can't be their biggest fan without, liking their music, but like being their biggest fan and acting like you enjoy the sound and the music or the lyrics, or are you brutally honest with them because maybe it helps them grow? Maybe, obviously we see a lot of artists with a bunch of yes men around them, and then they put out something that is mediocre, and it's because, everybody in the studio was telling them how hot it was
Yeah.
when it really wasn't, and nobody was honest with this person. But is that the girlfriend's role? Like, I don't know.
That's a really great
I mean,
question.
let's it's hard because we've been together for a long time.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, like I put out music. If I put out music and you just didn't like it, what would you? I mean, would you just not say anything? Because I don't really come
Just-
to you like, oh, do you like my new track? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
you don't.
I
And
mean,
I
yeah.
give you
But
that feedback
but a
because
lot of
I
guys
genuinely do.
like they want to play
That
for
is
their
very
girl. They
true.
want to
Yep.
play for the
Some
homies.
people like they want to.
So that's
Um,
yeah.
that
I mean, what
I don't
do you
know.
think?
I
What do
don't
you
know how to
think?
respond
You're a
here
female, so
because
it's like, you know,
I don't know if I would be able to fake it for long because of course that's like your career, so you're just going to be tangled up in it, and we're going to consistently I'm going to have to like consistently listen to your music and
sure.
tell you what I think.
Okay.
Um but also like it's your craft as well. I'm the type.
Hmm.
I want to help, like better my partner
Sure.
as well.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy like giving feedback like where like needed.
Hmm.
Um but I would really hate to hurt your feelings all at the same time.
That's the trade-off, right?
That's
Is
where
it
I'm
worth it?
struggling.
Is it worth it? Or like you said, I mean, do you fake this and then it just goes on too long and you
Yeah.
can't, and how bad could it? I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard
Like
the music. There is some bad stuff out there, like, and how, and they gotta, they have a girlfriend who may be like super supportive but may not like the music.
yeah. Where I'm stuck at though is she loves his voice. It's
Sure.
just the
Yeah.
songwriting part
Hmm.
that like maybe he needs some like help with.
Sure. And while we can hone in on that fact, I think overall it's like even if whether that's the specific fact or again we can hone in on that specific point, but I think like overall to be broad, at the end of the day, she doesn't like something that he does that's creative, right? She doesn't like the part whether it's his voice, whether it's the songwriting, because it could be vice versa, right? Where she
Yeah.
doesn't like the song, but he's got a great voice, or she doesn't like the voice, but he has a great songwriting capability, right? So while I do want to focus maybe like on her specific problem, I also want to kind of broadly talk about it so that it can like appeal to people, because fortunately for her, there's a part of it that she likes. She at least likes the voice. But there's a
Yes.
world where, especially if you're like, let's say you're like a rapper, but what if you're a trash rapper, right? And then your girl has to, now rap I feel like is a little bit more, you could be a girl and be like, well, I don't listen to rap, right? But
Yeah, that's
but
so
like
true.
if I'm an R&B artist and and let's say you don't like let's say I can't sing, right? Like I mean, let's just say
Yeah.
ultimately I can't sing. How do you come and tell me that without hurting my feelings and without me like, because now I'm self-conscious. Like if I put out music, I know my girl doesn't like it, and I'm trying to make this hard on you. You got to think about all this stuff.
You're making it so
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
because I'm like, oh, I don't want to like hurt your feelings.
Sure.
I feel like I would try to come at it as from like a supportive type angle.
Mhm.
Maybe maybe see if there's like something that I can get you enrolled in, or like some sort of like class, like a master class,
Yeah,
or
that's
something
cool.
like that,
Yeah.
just to kind of like, because I feel like maybe the issue could be that like he just hasn't done it long enough, or like hasn't really like been able to like perfect his craft, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like as like a girlfriend, like if we were in this situation, I would probably try to like steer you in the right direction because
Sure.
I know you want it to be like your long-term career.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want you to like be like humiliated
Sure.
or anything like that. But also at the same time, like music, I feel like is subjective. Like even if I
That's
don't
true.
like it,
Yeah.
you like, especially with them only being together for like a couple of months, she doesn't know his fan base or if
Yeah.
anybody else likes it.
Yeah.
It might come off as like amateur or juvenile, as if like a high schooler wrote it.
Yeah.
But maybe if she went to that show and people were screaming because like, they
Sure.
thought that he did great, it might kind of open up her eyes a little bit as well. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that 3 months in or so is still like a little too early to tell somebody that you don't like their like creative side,
Sure. Okay.
if that makes
But
sense.
he is specifically asking her. So is she lying at
Well,
this point?
damn it. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's lying.
Yeah. So and
Yeah.
how do you switch that around, right? If you come out at the gate and say, oh my God, like this is really amazing, like, and X, Y, Z, song titled "I Love You" is like my favorite song, and then now I think that's your favorite song. I might propose to you and play with it later in the future, and you
Stop.
actually hate
No,
it. No,
no.
I'm being funny, but
yeah, no, I could see it.
and
Okay.
I'm not trying to steer you one way or the other. I'm just trying to give you different perspectives on what could potentially, what potentially each decision could turn into. If we say that we like the music, do we carry on that, do we carry that on through the entire relationship and then, and then blindside you one day with like, hey, listen, that third date, I totally lied to you, or, and I guess if you do carry it through, how much damage does it do? I mean, does it do a lot of damage? It's one of those things like, I mean, it's just a creative process at the end of the day, I don't know how much I don't know how much damage it does if you lie, except the fact that you're lying, right? And
you're lying, and it might hurt the person's feelings as well to like know, like, oh my gosh, like we've been together for 3 years, and I'm just now finding out that you don't like my.
Well, that's if they ever find out. That is if they ever find out. If you carry it to the grave, you might be. I don't know. I'm not trying to tell people to lie though to their partner.
Yeah, that's true.
But the flip side of this is you tell them they don't like it. You don't care for the music. And even if you communicate it in the most honest and compassionate way, it's never received. It'll never be received as such. I can tell you that. Yeah, I don't care if you're like, even if you love all my music, if you ever were to be like, this probably isn't I love your stuff, but this one isn't my favorite, I'd still feel away, even if I knew you loved all my music. So it's like, and again, that's just goes to the sensitivity, unfortunately, of an artist that just comes with it. And she seems to be taking that into account.
Yes. Yep. But sometimes, I feel like while we do want to protect other people's feelings, I feel like sometimes like we need to just be honest. Mm-hmm. And it is all about in the delivery, right? Of like how we say it. Like you don't have to like be like, if he turns on the song again, you don't have to be like, stop it. It's like, I can't fucking take it anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to deliver it in that way of like, you are just tired of his music.
Yeah.
But I do feel like sometimes like it's okay to just be like, hey, look, I love your voice. Mm-hmm. You have a great voice. I feel like the way that you're writing isn't matching. Yeah. I think is how I would word it. Mm-hmm. Because like obviously she's not a songwriter. Like what do you know? Sure. And you don't know and the time and everything that it takes to do that. But you know a good voice when you hear one. Mm-hmm. So I feel like just giving him that positive, but also like, following up with, I just feel like it's just not meshing well. Yeah. And I think that maybe that would be like received a little better. And it also kind of like sounds a little better. Yeah. Too. Instead of saying, I don't like this.
It don't sound better.
It doesn't sound better. Like if I was like,
it sounds better to you, but
it does. I'm telling in my head, I'm like, I thought that was genius.
No, it's not bad advice. It's great advice. I'm just telling you, it still will be received.
It would still be the same. It's still going
to be received.
It would be like a dagger to the heart.
A little bit, yeah. Okay. But you're not wrong. I mean, you're not wrong. It definitely may be like, it's good communication. It's just one of those.
That's what we're all about.
It's just one of those unfortunate communications that, regardless of how it goes down, it's just not going to be received well. Unfortunately, from an artist standpoint. So, unless he's just super, like, maybe he's not sensitive. Maybe he's not. So I guess, at the end of the day, it's really to let somebody know you don't like their music. Because, I mean, you're saying all this, but I don't know if you actually tell somebody, like, if you're dating somebody, even me, but I'm trying to take me out of the equation because I feel like then you have a bias. If you're dating somebody and you do like them, you really like them, it's our third date and I play you some music or something. I mean, are you the type to be like, I'm not really feeling this? How many people, and I say third date, but maybe third month, I don't know. But like, would you really say it? Would you really do that? You think you would? I'm not saying you wouldn't. I don't know. Like, think about it.
It would depend on like how close we are.
Sure. Yeah.
I like just, we're like the good chemistry, sparks flying, like, I think that if we like really hit the ground running with our relationship and I really feel like this is going to go somewhere, I would then say something. But if I'm still trying to like fill him out and like figure this this thing out,
Yeah.
then I would just be like, oh yeah, so good. It's so good.
So what I want to do is maybe think of like some ways to let some, because I don't think this, I mean, this doesn't only apply to music. There could be something that you're just anything that your partner does that you just aren't really proud of.
Yeah.
Or you
You're
don't
not a
really
fan
like,
of.
you know, that you're not a fan of, that you're not, you know, it may not be your thing. It just gets harder when it's music, because music is more like something you share with, you know what I mean? Like if I was if I built, you know, furniture and for a hobby and you're not into that, I would just chalk it like I wouldn't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like of course you're not into that, right? You know what I mean? But, you know, music is a little bit more universal, so you want to share it with people. You want people to hear it. So I guess maybe we can try to figure out like some things to say or do, or things to say to them that, like, if you don't like it, and how to let them down, or how to say that you don't like it, or maybe find, I don't know, some alternative, or maybe you just lie. Maybe you just lie. I take the easy way out, okay? Just take the easy way out and
It
lie.
would be the easiest. You
And
wouldn't have
lie
to
and
worry about
support
like
them.
hurting them and their
Yeah.
reaction and things. I'm a very supportive like partner.
Yeah.
But also alongside with that, like I would at least try to slip in some ways of like to help you better yourself.
Yeah.
Because I also feel like when you take that route, you show that you are invested in them and their craft as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes, or maybe most of the time, they won't notice like what you're like doing.
Yeah.
That this is your plan all along, is
Yeah.
to like get them in like a master class or
Yeah.
like whatever it is, like getting them some extra training, if you will.
Yeah. Well, I do have
Or go with them.
Yeah. No, for
Because
sure.
you want to learn more about
Yeah.
it, right? But
Well-
at the end of the day, they're also getting better.
Well, I think that's a really good. That's kind of one of the scenarios I would say. I mean, it doesn't have to be like master. I wasn't going to go down the master class or whatever road, but yes. Maybe getting into the world of whatever they do, so that you can learn a little bit more about it. That way, if you do offer advice, it's from a place of like, oh, I gained some understanding on this. Plus, it shows that you're supportive, and it shows that you're also interested in this. And what can I do to help you maybe grow or whatever? And like, hey, I learned something today. Blah 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 blah. Right? Like for me, because I'm into music, if an artist came to me and I was dating the artist and she, played some music for me, I get to be brutally honest because I'm in the music. And I'm in the music industry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And not like in a bad way, but be like, I get to my advice or suggestion on it. It comes from like a world of expertise.
Right.
You know what I mean? On what
so
works,
it's
what
a little
doesn't.
different.
Yeah. So, but when it comes from just like you to know like, hey, did it catch you when you first heard it, or are you a fan? First and foremost, the way to kind of, if you get blindsided with getting asked if you like your partner's music and you don't, just find something about it that you like and compliment it. We laugh about this all the time, but whenever a rapper comes up and plays like me some music, or an R&B artist, or usually it's like a rapper wants me to listen to like their music, and I don't like it, I will usually compliment the beat.
Yeah.
And we make jokes about this all the time, but and some people might be hip to it, but a lot of times it's like you find something good about it, so you say like, "Yo, that beat is crazy!" Like, where did you find? Like, do you make beats, right? Because you kind of steer the path.
Typically can't go wrong with the beat. I've heard some bad beats.
It's a good one,
but most of the time, that is a good one.
No, the beat works, right? Unless it's just like a terrible beat.
Because they typically reuse beats, right?
Again, and for me, it's just hard for me with the whole advice thing, because it's like I can kind of find other things about it that, like, if it's not mixed well, let's say I hate it entirely, I don't have to tell you that like I don't like your writing and I don't like your voice. I can talk about another aspect that you need to improve on that isn't about your creativity.
Oh, okay.
I can talk about like maybe the sound quality. A lot of times I can be like, hey, this probably like, I feel like the vocals are a little too loud on this track. Whoever mixed this, because you get to blame somebody for this. Like whoever mixed this, I'd probably have it either mixed again or maybe, have someone else mix it, because now you can kind of express discontent for it, but your discontent is coming from like something totally different outside of
More of like a technical type
talent.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So finding something technical,
It's
that's hard for a
devious.
girl. That's hard for a girl because you're probably not going to know the
Take
technical.
notes, ladies.
You're not going to know the technical. Yeah, but take notes, okay? Hit them with that mute, like, oh man, like who's doing the guitar riff? You know what I mean? Like you got to hit him with some. You got to hit him with something dope. You know what I mean? Like, oh, those keys, man. That solo was insane. You know what I mean? Because there are probably some aspects, unless again, it's just like totally like it's just so bad. And at that point,
Yes.
like if you ain't gonna let them know, everyone else is gonna let them know, right?
If it's like that bad,
Yeah.
just hit them with my favorite part was when it ended.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're gonna be brutally honest, that's the most honest.
That
you can get.
ending was
Yeah,
it was top tier.
glad it
Yes.
ended. But that's just more of a joke. Girls probably won't take that route in terms of like. So what I'd maybe suggest, because she kind of wants to let them know, easy way to let them down. Basically, almost along the lines of what you were saying, what I would do would be because that's something he can improve on. So you can absolutely offer support in it. Again, compliment something that you like, and then start to dive into music a little bit more, because this will work. Dive into music a little more, because if you're going to end up with this person, you're going to support them regardless, even if you don't like the music. You will
Yes.
support them. If I started dating a NASCAR driving female and I hate NASCAR, like that's now my world, and I'm going to learn about cars and engines and all that stuff simply because my partner's interested in it. A lot of times that's what we do, especially if that's like a career move. Again, if you have like some weird hobby where you're into taxidermy or something, like, yeah, you go downstairs and cut those animals up yourself. I got
Oh
no
my
parts of
gosh,
it, right?
that's
But
insane.
yeah, but like in terms of something that's a like expression of self, those things can not only be improved on, but because if it's going to become your partner, I would say you should actually start to take an interest in it. And that way, when you offer advice or when you offer even some discontent, it comes from a place of somebody who's been like supportive and has been in this with me, and actually probably now has maybe the accolades a little bit,
Yeah.
right? It's not like you went to school for it, but like now you have a little bit of insight into the music, and you can start to offer stuff that sounds professional. Like, hey, listen, the rhyme scheme here or the rhyme pattern here, it seems a little bit off, or you're a little bit off beat, or hey, listen, your voice, you missed a note in that third bar, right? There's a lot of little things, and now you just sound like a professional, and we can take that a lot better. Like we as opposed to somebody who we know isn't in the music world, and now they're also criticizing our music, because then it can turn into like spite or bitterness. Like, what do you know about music? You know what I mean? Like,
Right,
and that's a lot of
yes.
times what happens. When it's somebody, you just ask somebody how they like your music, and then they don't like it, and now you could turn a little bit bitter and be like, well, that person doesn't know about music anyways. Yeah, that's the whole point. They're just a regular listener, and these are what regular listeners are gonna feel when they hear your music. So I would begin to ask questions, right? Like I would ask questions more about if whatever you don't like, I would ask questions about it. I would be like, if you don't like the lyrics, I would start with, when did you start writing? Like, get an idea of when they started writing, right?
That's a
And
good
then,
question.
yeah, like, when did you start writing? Like, what got you into writing? Try to maybe find out, like, who their inspiration is. Like, do you model your music after anybody? Like, there's ways you can kind of, like, subvert the conversation on like, oh, this is the most amazing song ever, I love it, to actually being a little bit more inquisitive, because now you get to, like, kind of divert the conversation, but also show interest in it, and it shows your support. So now you're able to maybe ask them, now you're maybe able to dive in, like, their favorite artist now, like what genre they're going for, where their writing style comes from. And with these things, you can start to offer critiques, because you could start to, like, maybe compare a little bit, be like, well, if this is your favorite, I actually really listen to them a lot, and I noticed that in their music they do this a lot, you know what I mean? And so, like, maybe you could incorporate something like that in there to add catchiness to the song. Yeah, but it
Right.
goes along the same lines as like you saying, like the class thing. It's a really good idea because it doesn't look like you're trying to say you don't like their music. It just looks like you're trying to make them better and
Yes.
supportive, like a writing class. You know what I mean? You could frame it as like, you know, like your favorite artists. They actually went to, they when they were coming up and trying to learn, like, writing, they went to XYZ seminar, they went to this and learned it too. And so I thought it'd be a good idea if, like, maybe you try to do the same thing, and, like, just because I love your voice, but if we can, like, if it's just a way to help you get better in totality, because now you have lyrics and you have the voice, and I think you could get even deeper with your songs, or even,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So there's a lot of
Yeah.
ways I feel like to have that conversation. And I think it should, like, just in a nutshell, without being too wordy, it should really just start with, like, inquisition and support. So first I would, like, find what maybe I like about the song.
Okay.
I would support, like, if that's the part I like, I would offer, like, support and be like, yeah, like, you have an amazing voice, or like that, even the beat, like, oh, that beat was dope, because, like, an artist will take that and still like it because it's like, oh, I chose that beat, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, it still works. And then, or I chose that music, or I wrote the music, maybe I wrote the music. And then the third thing is inquisitive, because it'll divert the attention away from, like, me searching for, like, if I'm the artist, I'm searching for a compliment, and now we're just talking about my music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I feel like I was a little spot on, but
Yeah,
I do
no,
like
that's-
the questions
Yeah,
that you.
I'm just piggybacking off of, like, your whole point was basically offering the support and then kind of, like,
Yes.
getting them better, but still, like, it being framed as, and not like in a manipulative way, but more
Right.
of, like, you know what I mean? I want you to get better because you need to get better, but I
Yes.
support you in getting better.
I want to see you get better.
Yeah.
Because I just have never believed in just telling your partner, like, oh, like, you're so bad at that, and then what, you just end there. Like,
Yeah.
what do you do with that? Of
Yeah.
course it's going to hurt their feelings. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other side of that is listening to so let me say, like, radio stations, or excuse me, record labels, the way they get you to like music is playing it 3,000 times on the radio. So a lot of times you will not like a song when you first hear it, and then over and over and over and over again, once you've heard it 3 million times, it is now on your playlist, or you're at least bobbing your head the next time you hear it. So there might be, if you want to help out a little bit, if you want to help, maybe kind of gear it, maybe you can kind of fool yourself into liking it. Play it over and over and over again. It's gonna suck, but it might get catchy. You might kind of start liking it, and you're gonna know the lyrics, so it kind of works for you.
That's true.
If you want to be like super supportive, a good way is to just replay the music over and over again. Because the other side of this is, like, maybe you don't like the lyrics, maybe you think they're juvenile, or maybe you don't like the voice at all. But there's a lot of trash music that gets radio play, that gets popular, that goes big.
Yes.
So, like, these days, it's not always about, like, having the perfect lyrics and the perfect vocals, man. Sometimes things just hit, and you're like, how did this person even blow up? They can't sing. The song lyrics suck, but something hit with people that were listening, and they vibe to it. So it's not, you can't ever, you don't ever know.
That's a great point.
Yeah. You
And he
never
could
know.
be, like, writing coming from that type of, like, I want to
Yeah.
go viral, and I want it to, like, maybe be just catchy.
Yeah. Like, I didn't care for, not to call anybody out, but, like, I wasn't a big Teddy Swims fan when he first came out, but they play this song 3 million times.
Yeah.
So now it's like, I sing it when it comes on, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and don't get me wrong, like, he's not a good example because it's obvious why he kind of blew up. It's, it makes sense. The look and the voice, and then the catchy kind of style of chord progressions that he uses. However, there's definitely, like, bad rappers. Or remember, like,
Oh, for
like, I
sure.
Love McConan, like, Going Up on a Tuesday. Like, that was, like, he can't sing. The song
Yeah.
was really annoying, but it was catchy. And then, of course, Drake hopped on it. But but it was a catchy. After you heard it 100
There's
times,
definitely
like,
been a
you're
few
just
of
like,
those where you're like
bumping this. Now it's like you're bumping it. So, like, there's that world too, right? At the end of the day, remember, you're not a music expert. So what you consider, like, corny lyrics or whatever, I mean, that, you know, the world might see it differently,
Yes.
or and we've heard it before. We've heard corny lyrics on the radio, and people have
Yeah.
blown up from corny lyrics and bad writing and bad vocals. So,
Yeah.
you know,
That's so true.
so, you know,
I feel like sometimes corny lyrics are like just them playing it safe as well. You know,
yeah, yeah. So, you know,
I don't know. I say go to the show and just see how the audience like reacts to it. You know?
yeah, and you can use that too. Like you can use other people's reaction. Like, oh, it seems like, you know, this song didn't get as many views. I wonder if it's like not like vibing with the crowd as much, or vibing with the listeners on YouTube as much. Like whatever
Yes.
platform you're on. But
Yep.
you know,
I think it'll get him thinking about it
take the heat
then,
off
like
you. That's the whole point. That's the whole goal
put it
here.
on the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I guess those would be my suggestions. And then I'm still not opposed to you just maybe just faking the funk, because artists are
It's
sensitive.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, like it's not the worst, like it's not the worst lie.
it's not the
We
worst.
talked about this in like a previous episode
Yeah.
where it's like sometimes like I mean, like do you really want to open up that door? Like what does it hurt at the end of the day? I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
want to condone lying, but there are certain things that like you could just take to the grave because it just doesn't
Yeah.
hurt anyone.
Yeah. Therapy wise, like it's obviously not a good advice to lie to your partner, but just normal human behavior. Sometimes it's gonna happen, right? And it's
Yeah,
like,
like
and if it's gonna happen, this ain't the worst one for it.
think of like the moms and the dads who like talk up their kids and they just think that they're like the best singers and
Yeah.
like you know they're so great at football and all these things, but in reality they are not.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're essentially lying to their kid,
Yeah.
but they want to build them up. They want to build up the confidence, you know? And I feel like sometimes it doesn't hurt, you know, for them to hear
Yeah.
those things, but also you have to help them get better
Yeah.
at the same time. You can't just be like, "Great job, babe. This song was so top tier. I love it." And then just leave it at that and then allow him to continue to produce
Yeah.
bad music.
Well, now he's all, yeah, because now he's representing you, and you're the girl who dates the guy with bad music.
Yes.
You don't want to be that either.
You don't want to be that for sure. It was so funny because when we had to take a pause, I told him off air that like it's so hard because it's like relatable but not relatable because like he's a great music artist. But I love all of his music, like genuinely. So I didn't like I had no idea like how
Yeah.
to because I've never been in this situation before, but I do know I'm a supportive partner and I would want to like help you be great.
Yeah.
Because that also like, you know, we're a reflection of each other.
Yeah.
And when you win, like I win, we win.
Yeah.
Type of situation. That's how I look at it.
No, for sure. And that's what makes it kind of hard, like, I guess, in the beginning because you're not there yet. But I do feel like if you guys are further along and you do fall in, let's say you do fall in love, fast forward, everything works out perfect, you fall in love, you'll find that you probably will just be a fan of his just because you love him and you love that
Yes.
he's doing something he loves and something that he's passionate about. So you may not fall in love with the music, but you will fall in love with his passion for the music. And those are things you can complement too,
And
right?
that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah. And so that will inevitably make you a fan, right? And it does, you know, and so yeah, I know. I guess that's all. That's all I
Yeah.
got. That's all
Oh,
I
that's
got.
great. Very relatable
Yeah,
for sure.
for
I'm sure
sure.
some people out there have been in a situation,
Yeah,
whether that even be with like a partner or even like a friend. Like we all know somebody who wants to make it big doing
Yeah.
music. So
no, for sure. It's
they're
and
in
it's,
every
yeah,
hometown.
yeah, yeah. It's yeah. I don't know. I guess that's all
Yep.
I got.
That was great. How fun.
Yeah, definitely. So enjoy the music. You know, good luck, and yeah, those are just alternative ways to kind of tell somebody. And like I said, I don't think it only applies to music. I think it really work for. I think in relationships all the time we find things like our partner does something or tries something, and you want to tell them like, or you may not think it's that great. I think we do this all the time too. I think we lie to our partner all the time. Like I
You
feel
think
like
so? Are you having a realization? How many times have you lied to
I'm
me?
just trying to think of like little things where it's like you do something and it's like not that impressive, but you're like, I mean, we do it with our kids for sure, all the time. All the time, Mom, look, and you're like, oh my
That's
God,
so
Timmy.
true.
And so, but I could see a world where we kind of micro on a micro scale do that a lot of times with like your
Yeah.
partner, where it's like you might have went to, I don't know, pottery class and made a bowl or something, and if you bring it home, I'm not gonna be like, well, that bowl looks like shit, right? You know, you're gonna be like,
Right.
oh, good
No,
job, baby.
that's
like, you know what I
true.
mean? I don't know. Music is, again, it's a little bit because it's more universal and it's probably somebody's, it's probably their whole world.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, you're the only one that's going to know. If you lie, you're the only one. You can take it to the grave. You don't have to. If you never say it, if you never
Yeah.
say anything else, nobody will ever know you don't like it. But
I guess
don't
it's
know.
like a pick and choose your battles. Like, are you just going to tell
Yeah.
them every single time they bring home a piece of pottery that it looks like shit, or
Also,
their haircut is like really bad, or you know what I mean?
Or what if you tell them, like, what if you are brutally honest? You're like, I do not like this music. Is not that good. And then what if they blow up?
That would be wild.
Now you're the one they're singing about, like,
That'd be
yeah,
so crazy.
my girl used to tell me I wasn't gonna make it.
Because you already know that would be in an interview for sure.
Yeah, my ex, she didn't like none of my music.
That's
She told me I wasn't gonna amount to
crazy.
nothing. And look where I'm at, Stacy.
And
Look where I am, Stacy.
That's hilarious.
And you're sitting
oh
there
my
at home
gosh,
like, no,
that
your
would
music
happen.
does suck, but I can't even do anything.
Yeah.
So,
It's like,
that's
no,
funny.
you finally got the help you needed.
Yeah, so there's that world too. So, tread
Yeah.
carefully.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I got. I thought that was funny.
So fun.
Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode. We kept it fairly light. And if you can, again, before we leave, hit that subscribe button. It helps us grow. If you like our advice, if you want to argue with our advice, I'm glad to hop in the comments and have a little debate with you. Absolutely. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye.